Welcome to Worthy and Rewritten, the podcast for those who are done letting their past define them and ready to reclaim their future. I'm your host, DeAnna Crawford, therapist, keynote speaker, and serial entrepreneur. After hitting rock bottom as a single mom on the brink of bankruptcy, I discovered something that changed everything. The power isn't in your circumstances. It's in the story you tell yourself, the identity you claim, and the narrative you choose to believe. When you rewrite your inner dialogue, everything shifts. Your relationships, your income, your freedom, and your future. I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to wake you up to what's possible. Each week, we dive into the messy middle of transformation, bold conversations, raw truths, and real stories of people who rewrote their identity and built lives they don't need to escape from. This is your space to get real, get honest, and get moving. You're not too late, you're not too far gone, and you are worthy. And your story? It is just getting started, my friend. This is Worthy and Rewritten. Now let's get writing what's possible. I want to welcome Naomi Kreske to Worthy and Rewritten today. This is going to be an exciting conversation. I'm excited to hear about her Hot Mess Express story. Welcome, Naomi. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so when you say this Hot Mess Express, can we start there? What do you mean?
Sure. I mean, it's a good place to start when you're a hot mess. But let me back up just a little bit, so It'll give a little bit of perspective for the Hot Mess Express.
Love it.
My life, I had the white picket fence, like the dream life. I married the person that I was with during all of college. We had jobs. We did the career thing, and then we started raising a family. We bought the house, and so life was seemingly perfect. And then out of nowhere, I had the rug pulled out from under me. Due to infidelity, my husband decided to leave, left the family, left us, and just...
You had no idea?
No idea. It wasn't our marriage that fell apart. It was him that fell apart. And, he looked for solace elsewhere.
Okay. Can I ask about this when you say like the dream life? Was that your dream life, to have this white picket fence, to have the family, to have, because we can say that, that's the ideal, but it's not everybody's ideal. But for you, was that the ideal dream life?
Yeah, that's what I grew up with. I was the oldest of 5 kids. My parents were, and still are, madly in love. They've been married. They've known each other since they were 9 years old, and they got married out of college. So I was following in the footsteps of the pattern of what I was shown in life. Yeah. And so that's what I wanted, of course. My parents are happy and in love, and so I figured that, I would do the same things that they did, and then I would have the same thing. So that was my white picket fence.
Ideal and this vision of...
Yeah.
Okay, so you found it. Would you mind sharing how you found out about he just...
Oh, it's an interesting story. My ex-husband, he was going through it, definitely. And so I had... 3 kids under 5, and he needed to get away. And so he likes to go to, I live on the East Coast, so he likes to go to Atlantic City and do some gambling and stuff, and sort of be with himself and try to figure things out. And so he was away all weekend, and I had the kids all weekend. And so when he came home, he was tired, and he just wanted to go to bed. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go over to a friend's house. The kids are in bed. I'm going to go over to a friend's house. And when I get home, he was asleep. And I don't know what told me to do this, because I'm not that person. I'm not a snooping kind of person. But I looked in his phone to see if he was actually went to sleep, or if he was just bullshitting me, or I don't know. And so I looked, and there was a text message between him and a buddy that was rather revealing as to what he was doing. And I had taken his phone into the bathroom, our adjoining bathroom. And as soon as I read that, I just stormed out of the bathroom. I was screaming at him, and I was like, what the hell is this? And he wanted to leave like that night.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I was like, get your ass in the guest room. Oh, I know. He
doesn't want to talk about it. I don't want to face my shame.
No. Exactly. I was like, get your ass in the guest room. We're going to figure this out. Over the course of the next year, I tried to figure it out. but he was not able to face his own demons.
So
And
I
that was
can't
it.
imagine 3 kids under 5 thinking you have the world is like exactly the way you wanted it. You've got your family, you've got the home, you've got everything you could
Yep.
possibly want. So
Yep.
that was that your gut whispering? I always say our intuition is
It
send us messages all the time. And so
it
you had
must have
never looked at
been.
his phone, like you never looked
No.
before?
Nope.
Something drove you to go and look that day.
Yep. Yeah.
Was his behaviors changed? Was he acting different? Was he withdrawn?
I
Anything
mean,
different?
he was definitely going through something and trying to, battle his demons a little bit, but I didn't think that it would go that far. And I was trying to be supportive. I went to therapy with him. He did go to therapy. I created a meditation space for him in our home. But it's like, how supportive can I be when I'm taking care of 3 young children?
Yeah, only so
So
much
I
capacity.
definitely was doing my best.
Oh my, so he flees. He doesn't stick around to talk about this, to debrief, to explain himself, nothing. He just leaves?
Yeah, the next day he left, and over the next year he came back 2 other times, but he would always leave me for someone else.
Like different people. So it's
Hmm.
not.
Yeah. So when he left me for the third person, that was it. So a year from when this happened, he was served with divorce papers. So
Wowza.
yeah, yeah, it's a doozy.
Okay. So when did the hot mess begin?
Right that moment, that evening, the hot mess began because I couldn't have been more shocked in my entire life. And even since then, like to have my life completely and utterly pulled out from under me. I believe I lived off of red wine and my treadmill for the next 6 months,
Yeah.
just trying anything to cope.
Yeah.
But I was thoroughly on the Hot Mess Express in survival mode, emotionally unavailable. I had giant walls up. Nothing was going to get in. Nothing was going to hurt me. I was armored up and I was just living life because I had to. I was now running the family on my own. So
Was he co-parenting with you?
when it was convenient for him, definitely at the beginning, we are much better co-parenting in the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years. So
Yeah, but in the beginning, he just kind of went, did his thing, left you with
yeah,
the kids. My goodness.
yeah. I'm sure that that's something that a lot of women can relate to,
Oh, I'm relating
unfortunately.
to you right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit less. Like there was some indication, but like it wasn't complete overhaul overnight. But
Okay.
yeah, I know definitely what it's like to be left with the kids in survival mode.
Yeah.
And when you said wine and treadmill, I'm like, oh yeah, I hear
Oh
you.
yeah.
I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
And it does help in the moment. Yeah. So, I've heard you talk, like you've talked about self-worth and your story around that. Like, I'm just wondering if we could speak on your ideas
Yeah.
around worth and coming to that, because I can see when something
Oh,
like that, you are completely stripped of your worth. Like you
oh,
feel
you are
worthless. You
definitely.
feel, yeah. And so, yeah, what's your take around
I
worth?
was so, and that's a big part of the Hot Mess Express is because I was trying to fill the void. Like there was a giant void in my life, in my heart, felt like in my soul. And I was trying to fill it with anything and everything that would maybe make me feel a little bit better. Hence the wine and the treadmill and douchebags and, partying and drinking and staying out late. It was like anything that was like surface level that would make me feel better in the moment was what I sought. Because anything that was a deeper connection, like I didn't really want anything to do with it because it could hurt me. And if it's of value, then what if I lose it again? And what if it gets taken from me again? So subconsciously, I didn't obviously realize that I was doing this, but subconsciously, I was self-sabotaging my life. I was just living in survival mode and completely and utterly emotionally unavailable. And that all stems from my self-worth. I don't think I felt like I was worthy of.
Well, how can you at that moment? Like we
Yeah.
know, I hope, and we'll get to the now, but I hope by now you know you are, but in that moment when yeah, when your husband's leaving you just like that, the way you found out, and it sounded like it was 3 times over. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's stripped from you. Oh, and I need to thank you for putting all that honestly. That's very vulnerable to say, like, yeah, that hot mess express. It's like I was out there just doing anything I could to get some joy, some positive reinforcement from anything, right? Just and so that's not easy to admit, even to ourselves, never mind to anybody else.
Oh, I know. It's taken me a while to look back on those years and appreciate them for what they were. I was very shameful of those years for a long time because, nobody wants to look back and think about, what a hot mess I was, because I was, and I was doing all of the wrong things. But I can look back now and I can appreciate the journey, because it has brought me to where I am now, and it has given me the knowledge base to be able to help other women get off their own hot mess express, sooner and easier and with more peace in their life,
Yeah, I love that. And I'm all about taking things like our stories and our challenges and turning that into a support for others.
Yeah.
That's one way to take something really, really challenging and hurtful and turn purpose, make it purposeful.
Yes,
Yeah.
Definitely. Paying into purpose.
I was going to ask you about the whole shame thing, because again, I'm sharing a lot of this same stories, and you're right. You go through the survival, you do what you can, you're going out there, you're doing those things because it is giving you something positive in return. It makes you feel good in the moment.
Yeah.
But when you get out of survival mode and come into and start finding yourself again, and you look back and you're like, crap, I did some shameful things I'm not proud of. And okay, so I'm hearing that you're actually in a place of gratitude for those challenges, and that story, that moment in your life brought you to today. How did you work through that shame? Like, what was your...
I'm so glad that you're asking this, because this is one of my favorite things that I like to share, is something I learned from Dr. Brené Brown. And I adore her. She's on like my top 5 of people I would love to meet someday. But she was sharing one of her own personal stories, and she's an amazing storyteller in general. But what she was trying to teach is that at any given moment of our lives, we are only doing the best that we can. So in that moment of Hot Mess Express, my emotional intelligence, my emotional availability, the tools that I had at my disposal, I was literally only doing the best that I could, because I hadn't learned better yet.
That's right, yeah. You're doing what you need to do to get through that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that phrase gave me the permission to be okay with who I was during that time of my life.
This is so interesting, so cool. I'm loving this, because I used her audiobook, and I forget the exact book it was now, but it was all about shame. And I can remember walking the lake and just listening. And the thing I took away the most was like, shame wants space. It wants to be heard. You have to allow it to be present, and then it can go. And that was the most helpful thing for me looking back. So it's so interesting how Brené Brown was for both of us, right? So looking back on that. Shameful. That's not who you want to be. I don't know if you're like, I'm looking back, like as a mom, that's not the mom I wanted to be back then. That was the biggest part of the shame, was the things I was doing to survive also affected my children, right? I wasn't as present as I wanted to be. And so that was the shame, but it was Brené Brown and her words. And I always find compassion too, like compassion for what you're going through in that moment. And like you say, it's all I knew.
Yeah, that has also allowed me to forgive my ex-husband too.
Do tell me about this. Okay.
Well, I know that he didn't intentionally destroy our family. And for years and years and years afterwards, he has told me that I'm still the love of his life. And that may or may not be true now. He's also remarried. But I know at that moment, because of how he was raised and the emotional intelligence that he had, that he was literally doing the best that he could. That doesn't make what he did right, but it gives me the power to have compassion and empathy for him. And that I know that he didn't directly come out to try to destroy our family. He was doing the best that he could.
Yeah. And it wasn't purposeful. It wasn't to hurt you. And Yeah, sometimes when we can be compassionate to somebody else, does it give you a little bit of peace? Does that help
Yes.
you with the
Yeah.
healing, right? Holding on to that resentment and anger and everything only hurts
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yep.
That difference between it doesn't make it right for him. It's not that what he did is okay and, but there was a purpose.
It gives me my power back.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything in this Hot Mess Express, like before we move on to the healing part, was there any big moments that we're missing here as part of that, in that mess? Like I'm trying to think of, there were some tumultuous times. I don't know, I moved through jobs and, like you said, relationships and, did some things that I'm not proud of. So what, got any more for us in that hot mess?
I mean, during that time, my ex-husband and I owned a bar/restaurant. So that was almost like my safe haven because it matched my Hot Mess Express vibe.
Yeah.
I actually ended up running the restaurant. So because as a stay-at-home mom, I needed a job, and I just quickly shifted into running the restaurant, which I had never done in my life.
So
I thought,
did he run the restaurant before that?
no, we had hired a manager.
Oh, okay.
We were just not silent partners, but we were just owners.
Yeah.
And so our manager was going out on maternity leave, and I was like, all right, I'll do this. I need a job.
Okay.
So I actually did that for 15 years. So for 15 years, I still worked with my ex-husband, had, to co-parent with my ex-husband. So I ran the family. I ran our business. I still ran so much of his life that it was not your average divorce for sure.
My goodness, when you look back on that, do you ever wonder how you made it through all that? How you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I definitely had to deal with a lot. And I'm going to, credit my own amazing emotional intelligence and maturity and patience to get through it, because that's what it took.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm thinking I had 2 kids, but I didn't have a business and an extra kid. Like you had more kids and you had to keep this business alive, and you were a stay-at-home mom and you had to jump into a role of also bringing in money. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then what? Now what comes next? You're in your hot mess. How do you get out of this hot mess express?
So getting out of the hot mess was an amazing aha moment. And I love me a good aha moment. So I was reading a book, and it was about, how this author, found love. And she was telling a story about a conversation that she was having with her mother. And her mother was kind of giving it to her real and was telling her, you go out, you party, you drink too much, you stay out too late, and, you date the douchebags, but yet you still feel like Prince Charming is going to come in and sweep you off your feet and you're going to live happily ever after. She's like, it doesn't work that way. And
oh my gosh. And as you're reading this,
I'm reading this and I'm like, holy shit, this is my life.
is she talking to me? Yeah, I could see that.
Directly to me.
Yeah.
I wish my mother had said these things to me. But the moral of the story is that this is where I found the law of attraction, that what you put out is what you get back in life, hands down.
Yeah.
It is that plain and simple. And if I'm a hot mess and putting out this toxic, chaotic, dramatic energy, then I get douchebags back.
That's right.
And I get more drama, and I get more toxic relationships.
That's simple.
It is that simple. I was like, where was this lesson?
So this book comes upon you, you read it, this woman's talking to you, she's giving a lecture to her daughter, but you're like, I hear you, okay, I need this talk, my energy, I'm putting out those vibes. So then, so you just change the vibe? What did you do?
Well, yeah, I wish it was that easy. It is definitely not a light switch, okay? It probably took me another 2 to 3 years to really get my shit to somewhere together. But, I started asking myself this one question. Does this suit me? Or does this serve me? Does this person serve me? Does this situation serve me? Does this place? Does this mindset? Does this serve me? And what I wanted to achieve. And if it was a no, I needed to start editing it out of my life. So I started staying home more. I started spending time with myself because I needed to get to know myself again.
I bet you did after that.
I needed to get back to who I am and not, what society and what this divorce created. And it just slowly but surely, I started going back to the friendships that I know that are better for me, editing out the friendships, editing out the going out all the time, editing out the drinking as much. Like I just had to start editing out the things that I know are actually not good for me.
Okay. So is it serving me? And if not, edit, delete.
Yep. Yep.
Control, Alt, delete. Okay. Got it.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. So, and again, finding yourself. And how do we do that? So spending time with yourself, of course, quieting the noise. I mean, that's like when it's the wine can definitely distract us from who we are, disconnect from self. So when we spend time, so that it was this gradually figuring out, who am I?
Yeah. I had to start getting comfortable like in here, in my brain and in my heart and in my soul again. And a lot of people avoid that because it's scary. People don't like to look in the mirror and actually see who they are, who they're being, what their actions are saying about themselves. And the first step in any sort of journey is self-awareness.
That's right, yeah.
And it's a doozy. It's a doozy of a step, but it is the most important one.
And you're right.
Getting
It's
real.
often very scary to get to the truth, to look at yourself. And because I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people will look at others, right? Look externally to self for for the reasons they're not happy in their life. But you got to look at the mirror. Yeah. Put that mirror in front of yourself. Yeah. Okay. So when you eat that, so you put the mirror up, you start to look at yourself, look at your behaviors, and you start to spend time with yourself.
And I started to get my shit together.
Okay.
Now I start to like myself again because I'm not doing the things that I know that aren't good for me. And so I'm starting to hang around with, the people that are a good reflection of that. And through it all, I start to connect again with the man that I'm married to now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting because he was there for my Hot Mess Express journey. Like we met each other when we were both on our own Hot Mess Express journeys.
Okay.
And we dated off and on for probably 10 years. During that hot mess. And, he had a divorce. I had a divorce. He needed to grow up. I needed to, figure my shit out. And it was really great. It was the day after my 45th birthday. I had just spent a wonderful weekend with the girls celebrating down at the beach.
Nice.
And I come home and I wanted to see him.
Okay, you had a moment. You're like,
yeah, I was like, I want to see him. And I reached out to him the day after my birthday, and he told me later, he's like, I had vowed that I would never speak to you again. He was done with my back and forth bullshit, and he wanted nothing to do with me. But he can't resist. He just can't resist me. So
love it.
We have been together ever since. He proposed 5 months later. We were married in under a year from that day.
Okay, but 10 years. I mean, you have 10 years of history. This is it.
We do. We had 10 years of history, but this May we'll be married for 4 years. So
well, congrats. That's exciting when couples can go through the mess. You're seeing each other's, both of our messiest selves, the least best version of ourselves, right?
Yes.
But to come together and get through that storm, and I love that ending for you, that, it went that way. I'm curious about when you came back from the trip, what was it in you? Was it something about the trip? Did you just, again, was it almost like a wake up moment? What was it that was driving you to, was it again your gut? I'm thinking of when you looked at your husband's phone.
It was definitely my gut. It was definitely my gut. And honestly, it doesn't ever do me wrong. Like,
no.
Intentionally have learned to get more in touch with my intuition, because intuition is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I believe in, the universe and spirit and your guides. They're talking to you for a reason, and they're guiding you. And I love getting grounded and really listening to my intuition.
And you're right, it never lies. Your gut always tells you the truth. Yeah. I always say, like, our heads will lie like crazy. They'll create stories and all these sorts of, but if you can tap in, and not everybody can. I do a lot of work in therapy, and I try and get people to connect to that part of themselves, and it's not easy for most people. But once you realize that all the information is there. Yeah. So, like you said, something just guided you to connect with him that day, and I love that.
Yeah.
And so today, so you said you've taken, you're like, I don't want ever, like, I want to help other women go through this and not have to stay on that messy train for forever. And so you've taken this, and I believe you're a mindset and confidence coach now.
Yeah.
So have you tried? Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So, around the time of 2020, I was like, I've always loved psychology. I love how the human mind works. I love trying to figure people out, because a lot of times what's happening on the outside is not what's happening on the inside. And I was like, I want to look underneath that and really see what's going on, because chances are they don't know what's going on, but I'm going to help them figure it out. And so I started taking classes on being certified as a life coach, and had a little bit of a hiccup, but I was finally certified in 2024 and started my own coaching practice. It's called Keep Finding You, which I'm obsessed with the name of that.
Good. You should be connected to it on that level. Good for you.
Yes. And then 6 months after my certification, I sold my shares of the restaurant to my ex-husband. So the divorce was final.
That must have felt so good. Like, take that weight off.
Yeah. So I'm 2 years in on this, and I think it's hilarious that I'm turning 50 later this year, and I have found my passion. Like, this lights me up like nothing else. I could talk about mindset, manifestation, law of attraction, helping women all day long.
Again, we share this. I feel like I'm talking to my clone here. Like, and so this is like your passion project, and I have a company called The Soul Inspired CEO, and it's all about, like you say, work that lights you up, right?
Yeah.
Helping women find work that lights them up. And here you are speaking right to that today.
Yeah.
It's, doing the work you love. And so what is the journey to supporting others? Is it a one-on-one, or is it?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing one-on-one coaching. I have an intensive, which is 1 week long, or a 3-month transformation journey, one-on-one 60-minute sessions once a week. And I just love digging in with people and facilitating their own aha moments. It's amazing, that feeling of seeing somebody else have that light bulb go off. It's awesome.
It is, isn't it? And so is it about really helping people come back to themselves? What would you say is your, like I said, so the name of your business, like, so it's about finding self, like,
Yeah, because life is just one big journey of finding yourself, because throughout life, that can mean many different things, because, who I was as a teenager, in college, having children, is totally different than who I am now, but I keep finding me. And, a lot of times that gets lost because life is crazy when you get handed a divorce, or when your job sucks the life out of you. But, helping women get back to who they are, because they're not broken. They are a whole person. Just sometimes it gets a little lost in the sauce. And I'm there to guide you back to yourself and give you that helicopter view, so I can help you find your blind spots and get, out of that like imposter syndrome or doubt or self-worth issues, get those things out of the picture.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I always love these ones where you feel really connected and aligned, and so I will post in the show notes where people can find you if they're interested in working with you. And thanks again for being on Worthy and Rewritten.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's episode of Worthy and Rewritten. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. I'm on a mission to help as many people as I can wake up their worth and build lives they don't need to escape from. So please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, if your gut has been screaming that there's more for you, listen to it. You're not too old, too late, or too far gone. You're right on time. See you next time.